Yabba Dabba Do is right because
It's Friday! Another Friday under our belt. This is the last Friday of September.
It is indeed.
You know, next week is October.
That's true.
Yep, Tuesday.
Yes. Yes.
The falling leaves outside my window.
So the voice you hear.
Falling leaves of red and gold.
We have a couple special people
Yes,
in the
we
house
do.
tonight. But
That's right.
the one you hear singing sweetly is Mr. Dominic
Right.
Albanese.
Mhm.
And he's here because he has written numerous poetry books. He's a poet, and we know it.
And we do know it. Yes. Yes, indeed.
So he's going to tell us a little bit about the poetry books he's written, and then we're going to have a guest call in
Right.
with Poetic Justice, which is the bookstore, Chris's bookstore in the Shops of Morningside
Right. And
in
of
Port
course,
St. Lucie.
we want to remind our listeners that this is Mrs. Peters' Party Time joins Frank and Friends.
Right.
And we have Mrs. Peters' staff here.
So we got Mrs. Peters, we got Frank,
the
and I'm the
house.
only friend.
Well, Dominic's a friend too.
Yeah.
Well, I could say
Yeah.
this, that I write a lot about fishing, and I like smoked fish.
All right.
And why I asked Deborah about coming is really about a Matthew Zeruda book that's called Why Poetry? And my answer to that is why not? Here's an interesting thing. The both of you are wearing eyeglasses. Okay.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
All right. What
It
prompted
beats using Braille.
the invention of eyeglasses?
Ben Franklin.
No.
People that couldn't see.
Right.
Why? What made them find out they couldn't see? I don't want to be a wise guy. Anyway, it was the invention of the Gutenberg printing press that had Mr. Loeb both design telescopes, microscopes, and eyeglasses. A vast percentage of the populace was myopic. Also,
And okay, now tell for our listeners that don't know what myopia is, tell them what myopic means.
well, they couldn't see close. They couldn't, words were blurry.
Right.
Also, during the invention of the Gutenberg printing press, the literacy rate took an amazing leap ahead.
Yes.
During what most people refer to as the Dark Ages, the literacy rate in the world was about 4%. And in fact, the people who could write and read were under contract to both the royals or the churches to promote their agenda. And what broke away that, and it's kind of interesting because if you really read the 95 Thesis of Martin Luther, it's pretty poetic. And also, certain poets, especially in China and Russia, Ireland, and America, were the voices of, wait a minute, hold on here. What are you telling us? There was a famous American labor leader named Eugene Debs. And Eugene Debs was sent to prison for sedition, for standing in front of a labor, demonstration, and saying, you were born to be more than wage slaves or cannon fodder. And he actually ran for president from prison and got 14 million votes.
Nice.
Wow.
And was involved with a group of poets and a group of writers who to this day have produced some of, there was a wonderful doctor in New Jersey, a doctor named William Carlos Williams. This is just to say, I ate the plums that you were probably saving for breakfast. They were so sweet, so juicy, so good. And he was a full-time medical doctor. I hope that's Chris.
I'm sure it is.
Okay.
Stand by.
So on the line is Chris Hagenblum from Poetic Justice Books and Arts, which is, like I said, independent bookstores now are starting to gain some traction And also, he's managed to put on the shelves probably the best varied and widely selected group of poems and books of poetry in all of Florida. Am I right, Chris?
I'm sure trying. Mitch Chlorfane might have something to say about that, but I think, I think we're probably at least in the top 5, if not the top 2.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, not everybody knows where Poetic Justice is.
I was about to say.
Would you please tell us your address and maybe give them a phone number?
We're in Morningside Shops in Port St. Lucie, which is at the corner of Port St. Lucie Boulevard and Morningside Avenue. And the address is 1774 Southeast Port St. Lucie Boulevard. If anybody, we're online, poeticjusticebooks.com. And our telephone number is 772-249-5678.
Great.
Chris, you got to mention the fact that you're right next door to the Italian bakery. So you could go get cannoli, then you could go get poetry.
That's right. Cannoli and poetry. It's a good combination.
Yeah, or biscotti, right?
And biscotti.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, very good. So, how many square feet do you have in your bookstore?
It's the whole section here is 800 square feet. The bookstore section is 325 square feet.
All
Right. And you hold different events there at different times, don't you?
Yes. We have poetry readings. We have author signings and book release parties. A couple of writers groups meet here a couple of times a month. So it's a little bit of everything in here. We work kind of tightly with the St. Lucie Literacy Council as well, and they have their once a year group meeting here.
So you're having an event tonight, aren't you?
Correct.
And what kind of event is it?
It's a book signing. A local author named Alpha Myers is going to be presenting her, discussing her book called Measures. It's about it's a kind of a self-improvement book. Watching where you're going and making sure that you're not misstepping. She's a wonderful local author.
So you just don't sell poetry books. You sell all different kinds of books.
Yeah, we sell all types of books. We're not just limited to poetry. Poetry is our focus. Poetry and small press and literary fiction with a real heavy focus on local authors.
Cool.
And then here, Chris, stay on the phone. I want to embarrass you.
Okay.
This is a poem by Chris. Every day more wolves descend upon us, truth devoured, snarled apart, scraps offered by crows to the four winds. 'Tis a ghost claims to hold the key. It may be our castle, shimmering behind a six-fold gate, but who dares accept the demon's price? I know. Chris has an incredible hobby. He translates 3rd, 4th, and 5th century Chinese poetry.
Wow.
And like I was saying, and I'll say it again, why poetry? Why not? Now, I'm sitting here in front of 12 of my books. And again, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 published by Poetic Books and Justice. And Leaky Boot Press, Les Editions of Zaparogue, Methodologium Press, Finishing Line Press. And I've been writing poetry since I'm 12 years old. In fact, my first poem in my life, The Sea, the Sand, and Rebecca, small footsteps on the surf line in the Coney Island sand. And I left school. I never even made it into the first month of the 8th grade. But my teacher was a woman named Arlene Berkowitz. And when I left school, I managed to get a job at my uncle's gas station. I fell in with the wrong crowd. My cousin caught me, a 60th precinct police officer he was, caught me up on Surf Avenue in a stolen car. And him, my father, the priest, altered my birth certificate and put me in the army at 16 years old. All the time I was in the army, I wrote letters to Miss Berkowitz. About 4 years ago, I got a message from somebody asking, is this the Dominic that went to Mark Twain Junior High School and then went to Vietnam? And I'm thinking, what is this? So I said, yes. Do you remember Arlene Berkowitz? Oh, man, get out of here. I was so in love with Arlene Berkowitz, I couldn't even look at her the way only a 14-year-old boy can be in love with his school teacher. She recently passed away. I am her daughter. While we were cleaning out her house, we found a whole box of letters you had written to her. Send me an address. I'll send them to you. And this big package came, and I opened it, and there was a little note on top of it that said, he was my student. I recognized his raw talent, and he adored me. And there were letters from basic training, jump school, ranger training, special forces group, my first deployment to Laos, back to Okinawa, back to Vietnam. And the last letter I wrote to her was on March 15th, 1966. And on March 17th, good old St. Patrick, may he live forever, I deroached from Okinawa and ended my service at Oakland, California. And the years between 66 and 86, I don't talk about much. In 86, I got sober, stayed sober, and got serious about my writing.
So that brings us back to poetic justice,
Right.
because Chris has I couldn't interrupt you on that
I'm
story.
sorry. I'm
No,
But
you
sorry.
can't
I
interrupt.
wanted
You can't
to get
interrupt
Chris
Miss B.
on and off
Right.
because he has an event at 5:30, and
Oh.
and so
We want to let that, but definitely you need to call us back because I want to get into your translational work that you do, because that seems just totally fascinating to me. Because I know that Chinese haven't changed in thousands of years, so the
he's
writing.
married to one.
So
Yeah, the characters are essentially the same, though the
Yes.
pronunciations are way different.
correct, but the word meaning is the same, and that's
No.
the
The word meanings are different.
the word meaning is just different.
Yeah,
as well.
it gets kind of complicated when you're getting back into that stuff, because you look at it and go, that doesn't even make any sense.
So
If you take it in modern Cantonese, and then you go, oh, but. So
Well,
they're not
because
talking about
when
that,
it
they're talking about
switched-
that.
When it switched to Mandarin
yeah,
in about the 9th century, everything really changed.
yeah,
Oh
Yep.
wow!
cool.
So
Well,
we're
anyway,
in the
so-
shops of Morningside.
Right.
Give us her telephone number and your .com again.
The .com is poeticjusticebooks.com. Kept that nice and simple.
Right.
Right.
The phone number is 772-249-5678.
Very good.
Very good. So everyone out there, please listen and go to Poetic Justice. Have a cannoli.
Right.
Stroll down the road.
Yeah.
Don't get sticky fingers in the books.
Use napkins before you touch the books. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Enjoy some good poetry and look at some local art too.
Outstanding.
Wonderful.
Well,
Thank you for calling, and we won't keep you because I know you just have a couple minutes and you're going to be
Right.
flocked in there.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank
Thank
you for
you.
calling.
Thank
All right.
you, Chris.
Take care. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. Very cool.
Okay, it's about time to turn it over to Mr. Peters, and Mr. Peters owns this hour, but departed, not gone. This morning between dark to dawn, I saw a man pushing an empty wheelchair. Causeway sidewalk, both side Riverview. It hit me. She was gone. He walked the chair without her, not wanting her ghost to miss day's attendant sunrise over Barrier Island mangrove banks. And, you know, the idea, Djila Marbrook, who's actually a pretty well-known poet himself, but a lot of people don't know him and don't know of him, he recently said that poetry is the ability to say things that don't normally get said. That old man who had a voice like thunder and hands as big as catcher's mitts, who could tell you where and when about anything, from baseball to Catherine of Aragon, sitting drinking iced coffee, doing a crossword puzzle, humming a show tune, looking out the window on Never. And, you know, this whole thing about almost all poetry is autobiographical, whether you want to think about it or not. And I'll leave. No, I can't say that one. I'll leave with Midway Moves and Boardwalk Dreams. Oh my goodness, where is it? I write this stuff. Do you know what's funny, Frank? I wrote these books, and some of these poems are 30, 40 years old.
Nice.
Some of them are new, but I read the books and they get published and I don't read them. The book about Vietnam, it took me 50 years to write this book, and I didn't read it. It came out in March. I didn't read it till October. And when I read it, I was stunned. I was like, did I write that? Is that really my work? And somebody else today, a very close friend of mine, Christina Quinn, who we've published her books. We've published books by Alicia Neville, Ariel Lugi, Elaine G. And we really do the best we can to have, I mean, Chris has been in the book business for 20 years, and he knows a lot about poetry. This is what I'll close with.
All right.
London, a back alley on Tudo Street in Saigon, about 50 years ago. Two of us, half lit on reefer and beer, and in an owl dye, a black hair charm woman, mystic and serene, wispy, but with cord strong veins, dark eyes backlit with that contempt only invaded souls wear so well. You babies not shaved yet, look bad, but you have never seen 1700 years of war. Said to Maddie and I in French access English, but I reply in almost form perfect Viet. No da, no ba, eto no koda. We are not the reason, only the latest to try and fail as others have. Kong Biet. Kong Biet in Vietnamese means I don't know. She smiled. I can remember it like 2 days ago in Cham, a lost tongue, but I instantly knew it was a spell or a curse. It was sad and old. Sin loi, sao you will not die, only suffer for years to come. Now, 50 years later, I wonder how she knew.
All right. Well
Thank
done.
That was
guys.
well done. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to have you here.
Oh, I like it. I like it. I'm such a ham.
So we're going to take a break. We'll be
are
back.
indeed. Thank you for listening. You're listening to Mrs. Peters Party Time joins Frank and Friends, and we'll be right back.
We're back. Haha, you
We
thought
are
we were
indeed.
gone, but
No
it's the
way.
last Friday and we're still here.
That's right.
And we'll
Yes.
be here on the first Friday next week.
We will indeed.
Yes. We have a little update for you here. We have Operation 300, which still is accepting donations at Hangar number 3 at Witham Field, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Their first construction crew returned today from their base camp on Treasure Cay, and another fresh crew will fly out today and work through Tuesday. Any able-bodied volunteers who would like to pitch in and help in our Bahamian neighbors should go to the Operation 300 website or visit Operation 300 crew passport in hand at the donation hangar between 3 and 5 p.m. for screening on Mondays through Fridays. The projects include roofing, land cleaning, painting, debris removal, and a lot more. Volunteers should be in excellent physical, mental, and emotional condition and be prepared to be completely self-sufficient. Team members are bathing in the ocean and are exposed to the elements all day long with AC only at night when gas is available for the generators. They still need construction supplies such as outdoor extension cords, work gloves, hammers, and more. Go to the Operation 300 website and click on the Amazon wish list if you wish to purchase supplies that are delivered directly to the hangar. This News Minute is brought to you by our WSTU 1450 radio audience by Martin County Currents, your alternative source of local news.
Thank you, Debbie. All right. Yes.
So we have
thank
We
Barbara.
have participants that from Mrs. Peters'
right.
party
Right.
here.
Yes, we
We
do.
have Rex and Margarita are both here. She's hiding in the
Right.
like she doesn't
She's-
want to be on our
She's shy.
screen,
Yes, that's okay.
but she can come and sit.
No, she's really shy.
Oh, okay. So tell us, Rex, what's going on at Mrs. Peters? Anything new?
Well, we'll have a outside patio here in a few weeks.
There you go. I got the wrong mic. There you go. Try it again.
Okay.
There you
We'll have an outside patio here in a few weeks. We talked to a local gentleman that has a business downtown Jensen, Steve. He come over and he's looking at the landscaping for, we have a small gazebo.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to offer some lunch specials and you can take them out, have a seat at the patio and enjoy the new landscaping and the fine weather we have here.
Oh yeah. Very cool.
So you're going to have beer and wine pairings. So that means you have to have a beer and wine license.
I believe we have the beer and wine license as far as you can buy the beer and go out and sit. I don't think we can actually serve you at the table,
Okay.
but you can bring your own bottle, of course, or you could buy the wine and the beer at Mrs. Peters and go out and there's different laws and different licenses.
Right,
I think
right.
the one we have is you actually have to serve yourself.
Right.
Or I could actually open a bottle and hand it to you.
Right.
But I can't bring it to your table.
That's what they do up at Little Jim's.
Yes, you were
You-
talking
about
about
that
that the last time
time.
Gary was
Here,
here.
yeah.
Yes, I believe.
And they
that's
do
what
the same thing up
Yes,
there.
yes.
Yeah. And that's
That's
fine.
yes.
You know, they'll get the food ready for you and then you can go in the cooler and pick out what you want and they ring it all up and then you can go outside and
And
eat and drink.
surprisingly, being right on the Dixie Highway right there, there's times there is more traffic than others, of course, early in the morning, but you could sit there and enjoy your lunch and have very little traffic actually sitting
Mhm.
right there along the road. So it's convenient, it's easy to get to, and it's still nice to where, you can.
Well, once you get that more people out there, more people will stop. People like to see people.
Absolutely,
If
yes.
they see an empty restaurant, they'll drive right by. But if they see 100 people sitting around out there, they'll go, "Ooh, that must be good food. Let's stop."
I think one of the biggest things with Mrs. Peters being in Rio as long as they have is just getting it back in front of people again. I mean, I talk to every time I'm in there, I sit down and talk to people, and it's amazing how many people will say, man, the place has been around forever, but I just haven't been in there.
Mhm.
And it's a dying thing. We are one of the few smokehouses left in the state of Florida.
Right.
And we're kind of grandfathered in, where if we even ever wanted to move, I don't think we actually could,
Right.
so, and the biggest thing is we want people to know that even though almost a little over 100 years later after Smokehouse Sally started, that we're actually making fish dip the way that she did, with all of today's technology. All of our fish is done and actually the same smokers that she installed in 1958 when they built the place.
See, now if you sold new ones today, they'd last you 5 years.
Yeah. I mean,
it's like buying a refrigerator back then. It lasts you 30 years.
Yep.
Today, they don't last you 6.
the smokers are amazing, and I recommend people just to stop in and see the place, and of course sample. We highly recommend to sample every dip we have, and we have a lot of smoke products too. The other day we did smoked scallops, Cajun smoked scallops, and they're just fantastic. Yeah. But people, it's nice having the big window right behind the counter where people can actually look in and see the smokers, and
Right.
And there's a lot of people, young and old. There's a lot of young people that come in and they're like, can we go back there and see how you do things? And it's, of course, we want people to see that we do the things just the way she did, 60 years ago when she opened, then it's nice to be an old Florida business that keeps up the old Florida traditions.
Right.
Very cool. So what's your favorite product out of Mrs. Peters? Everybody has their favorites.
My favorite would be, beyond a shadow of a doubt, the smoked salmon fingers and garlic roasted pepper. My father and I fished for salmon in New York since the early 70s. We caught thousands and thousands. And I was kind of skeptical when Margarita first started managing the place, and the salmon, I just expected, I was like, I don't know how good this is going to be. And I can honestly tell you that the quality of salmon that they get at Mrs. Peters is better than any of the salmon I ever caught in my entire life of fishing.
It melts in your mouth.
Oh, and I mean, the new owner, Gary Stonecipher, he's kind of a foodie, and I go in generally on Mondays and help. And one day I was doing the salmon fingers, and right out of the smoker, they're amazing. And I knew he was sitting out there, so I took a couple out to him, and the look on his face when he bit into that, or I should say, you don't even bite into it. His eyes rolled in the back of his head, and he said, "That might be the best thing that I have ever eaten." Yeah. And you know what? I mean, it's kind of funny to hear somebody say that, but the look that was on his face, I tend to believe that he actually meant that was one of the best things he ever had.
We tell everyone, when you go buy salmon fingers, you have to buy 2 bags, one to make it home and one to eat in the car.
Yeah.
Because that one bag won't make it home.
And there's a lot of people out there that'll say they don't like fish.
And I'm one of them, but I love the salmon fingers.
Did you?
Yes.
See, there's people that you can't really twist their arm into trying it, but they'll say, especially salmon's one of those ones where you either like it or you don't like anything about it. And they'll say, I have a lot of people that do the same thing that you asked me, what's your favorite? And I'll tell them, and they'll be like, I don't really like salmon. And I'll tell them, this is different than any salmon that you're ever going to try. And they'll actually, one lady, she actually kind of gave in and just took a little bite. And I believe that she ended up taking salmon home with her that day. And she said that she never, ever liked salmon before that. Yeah. And I think it goes for just about all the fish, even when you talk about smoked fish dips, there's other smoked fish dips out there. Some of them, you can call them smoked fish dip if you use liquid smoke. Yeah. But we pride ourselves in using a quality product that has no preservatives, no additives, and it's smoked we try to use Australian pine, but the times we can't get it, we'll use oak. And I don't think you can tell a big difference in the flavor as far as from oak versus Australian pine. but you can definitely tell a difference from being smoked with wood from liquid smoke.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah,
I think that is
Yeah.
the biggest
yeah.
difference. That's the biggest difference in the fish dips. You know, and
it's the process how you make it.
and you know, and you have to look at it as a small business. You know, we even at the most there's maybe a dozen people that work there. So every piece of fish that goes into that fish dip, or every piece of fish that is smoked, is inspected and touched by the people that are smoking it.
Right.
You know, so we see the quality, we know the quality. We might cost a little bit more than everyone else, but if you walk in, you know, a lot of the fish dips, it's called fish dip simply because it has a lot of fish in it. You know, it might have tilapia, it might have pollock, it might have any kind of fish you can think of. But when you walk into Mrs. Peters and you say, I want to try the mahi dip, the mahi dip is 100% mahi.
Mhm.
The wahoo dip is 100% wahoo. There is no fillers in there. And different fish has a different taste.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know, so that's why we have 8 or 10 different kinds of fish dip, because they all have a different flavor, you know, and for instance, you ask somebody, my wife, which she makes a lot of the dips, and some of them are still made by hand, like Mrs. Peters. Her favorite is the wahoo, you know, and she'll say, I don't like fish, but I'll see her, she eats a lot of fish dip for not liking fish,
Mhm.
you know, so it's something that I just recommend people to break out of the box and just try it. You
And
know,
it's good for the keto diet or the keto or whatever it
Yeah,
is.
Keto. Mhm.
Yeah.
It is. It's amazing. So if you're on a restricted diet and it's actually a healthy alternative.
Yes, it is.
we're actually working on a gluten-free. They are gluten-free, but we're working on something organic.
Okay.
Whole Foods contacted us and they wanted to do something with our fish
Wow.
dip. So we're working on an organic fish dip right now. You know, but we're already, I guess it already is gluten-free. She would know more.
Yeah.
With
Right. As
you know,
long as you're
being-
not putting flour or anything
Yeah.
else that it's gluten
yeah,
free.
that's her thing. She has to have all the
So,
HACCP
so what would
regulations and
make it
everything.
more organic? I can't.
She's free range. Free range. So
Well,
in other
fish
words,
are free range. They're in the ocean.
well,
They're not running around the yard.
What you're putting in, I believe, as far as I think the mayo, how the mayo's made,
Okay.
I think has a lot to do with it, you know, but like I said, we add no preservatives or no additives, you know, there's just the spices and the fish, you know, our fish, a lot of other, you noticed a lot of other fish dips they brine their fish, you know,
Mhm.
and we don't do anything. We take 100% fish. I'm very selective, especially with the kingfish. Tell her all the time, you know, and right now we're having a really hard time getting kingfish because of the weather, the hurricane, and the seas have just been unbearable for the last couple of weeks, you know, 8 to 10 foot seas.
Yeah.
And the men just simply can't go
a
out
little
fishing.
bit, a little bit sporty, as they
Yeah,
say.
yeah, sporty.
Yeah.
It's you know, and they just can't go out and fish. So
Yeah.
we are completely out of kingfish. And
So where do you get your fish from?
we get
From a supplier, because then you
Yes.
know where
well,
it's from.
yes, and we have the supplier has actually like salesmen that come right to the fish house, and Margarita and myself will inspect the fish. And you don't necessarily, that's another thing that we do. We just don't buy the cheapest fish. You know, there is a difference, you know, not that everything just because it costs more is better, but a lot of times you simply do get what you pay for.
Mhm.
And there's times when we'll buy a fish that's much more expensive than the same kind of fish, just simply because it's a better cut, or it's just none of them should be processed anyway. But you know, you can just tell a difference of how old it is or how quickly they got to it. And so, you know, that's another thing that you have to put into the
Freshness,
price.
yeah.
The
Mhm,
freshness.
mhm.
But as far as kingfish, I will only buy kings off of several local kingfishermen because a lot of times they will call Margarita and I'll have her call me, and I do 99% of the kingfish I'll clean, and they'll call me and say we're leaving the dock, and I only live several minutes, just a couple minutes away from the smokehouse, and I will actually go over and clean the fish. So there's a lot of times that the fish are actually swimming that morning and they're smoked that afternoon.
Nice.
You know, and that
Nice.
makes a big difference.
Yes, it does. We have to take a break. Don't
All
go
right.
away. We have lots more fishtails.
Fish. I like it. Well done. We'll be right back.
We're back.
We
We're
are
back
indeed.
with more fishtails, and maybe we can
I'm
get.
going to change the script a little bit. I noticed he's wearing really cool clothes, and so is his wife, Mrs. Peters Outfits. They sell clothes there.
Oh.
So if no shirt, no shoes, no service, so you can show up without a shirt, and they can hook you up with some Mrs. Peters garb. So that's pretty
Right.
cool.
Are they wicking shirts like for fishing?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
they
Wonderful.
are UV shirts. And actually, Margarita just got in an order of tie-dye Mrs. Peters
I
hats.
saw those.
And they're pretty. I actually had mine on, but I took it off. I thought it would clash a little bit with the outfit that I have on. You know, I have the perfect outfit for radio.
Yeah, so very cool. So do check them out. And whether you buy the fish dip or the salmon fingers or any of the other things,
Just
over
go
there.
in and aggravate them.
Yes.
That's half the fun.
Well, they have a little sampler tray too, right? Don't you have a sampler?
You can. I
right?
recommend when you come in there, I tell people we have like 10 different dips and all kinds of different smoked fish, and I tell them sample each and every one of them. You might like all of them. You might not like any of them. That's that's the thing about.
That's why you
You know,
sample.
that's
Right.
why you sample.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is never an excuse to go home, and I guarantee you, every batch of fish dip that you sample is going to be the same that you take it home in the container. So there's no reason to ever get home and be disappointed.
Right.
Right. Well, good. Yes.
Very good.
And they last. They actually last. We joke about this. You have those sent away, and they, with all the government regulations and everything, the fish dips will actually last like 35 days.
Mm.
And if you go and you buy an 8-ounce container of fish dip and you can't eat it in 35 days, you probably shouldn't have bought that fish. We joke about that, but that does happen.
Yeah.
But yes, I recommend people stop in, just say hello.
Sure.
My name is Rex. My wife's name's Margarita. They're not two names that you hear very often. You
Yeah.
can remember those,
Mhm.
if you're like me and can't remember names very well. But yes, I'd come in and check it out.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm sure there's something there that you would like.
Yeah. So the patio will be open for service pretty soon, right?
I'm thinking within probably the next month.
All right.
Just to be safe, that
Yeah.
probably within the next month, just when the weather is going to be a
it'll
lot
be
nicer
just
to set out
perfect,
and
right.
enjoy.
You can smell the smoker working while
Yes.
you're
Right.
sitting out there. It's
Yes.
marvelous.
Yeah.
And it's
Craig used to
behind
come
you.
in
Yeah.
all the time and smell like smoke. And he used to get women hitting on him all the time because of the,
Yeah. He
he
swears.
was going to bottle it.
Oh,
right.
yeah?
He sweared he wanted to bottle it somehow and to sell it as a cologne. It's a,
Right.
I can honestly say that when I go home after helping at the smokehouse, my wife does not think I smell very good. So
All right. So,
But it does get in you. I mean,
yeah,
absolutely. Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
All right, so let's find out what's going on around town, Deb. What else we got going on around town?
we've got lots of stuff going on. We got the grand opening Oktoberfest celebration is noon to 11:30 Saturday at 1630 Southeast Federal Highway in Stewart. It's Ocean Republic Brewing Company's grand opening.
So what's that called again?
Ocean Republic
Oh,
Brewing.
Ocean Republic.
Ocean Republic.
Got it.
1630 Southeast Federal Highway in Stewart. And the event features authentic German type beer releases,
Hmm.
German food, vendors, traditional games, costumes, live music. Proceeds benefit 11-8 Hope, Compassion, and Action.
Ah,
So
Elevate Hope is what.
elevate,
Yes,
yes.
Elevate Hope. Yes, we had them on another show. Maybe last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
The final Hops Against Hunger is 5 to 9 tonight at
Mhm.
Conky Joe's at 3945 Northeast Indian River Drive. It's part of a friendly competition to see who can bring in the most food and raise the most money to help end hunger in the community. So I'm thinking they want you to bring in canned goods and stuff like that
Yes.
because they don't want you to bring in homemade food because Conky Joe's wouldn't let you in with homemade food because they're a restaurant.
Yes. Yes. You want to bring packaged things.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The Martin County Young Farmers and Ranchers second annual Buck Wild Fish Roundup is this weekend in
Yeah.
Port Salerno.
Buck Wild Roundup. It sounds like something you need a saddle and a whip.
Well,
for.
it's farmers and ranchers.
okay. All right.
And that's what it's called, Buck Wild Fish Roundup.
Yeah.
The target fish are kingfish, wahoo, dolphin, and snapper. The boat with the largest total weight wins $2,000 for first place, $1,500 for second, $1,000 for third. Plus, there are more categories to win trophies. The cost to enter is $300 per boat, up to 4 anglers.
Okay.
So that's going on
Yeah.
in Martin County. And
But wait,
It's a-
there's more.
there is more. And if you're bored in Martin County,
It's your own darn fault. Yes.
because there's too many parks.
Yeah.
And with the weather changing,
Ah,
you can go out and
It's
do,
so
you know,
nice.
all the trails and hiking and go from one to the other. It's that time of year.
yeah. You went on
Fall.
your, you
Fall
went
is
on-
in the air.
Yes, you went on your morning walk this morning.
I did
Yes, and it was
It-
wonderful.
every day. It's
Yes.
been in the 70s.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
yes.
Yes. The Crosstown Parkway, woohoo! Grand opening and community block party is
Tomorrow.
9 to 2 tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Oh, and if you park, you have to park down on Sandia and they'll bus you in.
Wow. Yeah.
And then I think they open up the bridge at 3. 2 to
Okay.
3.
Big ribbon cutting ceremony.
Ceremony,
Yes.
right.
mhm.
The 16th annual San Juan Festival is noon to 10 p.m. tomorrow at the Port St. Lucie Civic Center. Treasure Coast Girls Pint Outs second annual pub crawl. Okay, is noon to 4 p.m. It starts at Cobb's Landing, and then you can go to Pierce Cider Works and Second Street Bistro
Nice.
and Sailfish Brewing Company, and then back at Cobb's Landing. And it's $25 a person to benefit Delilah Second Chance Rescue.
Okay.
Indian River County has Uno Luau Fire Show is 7 to 9 p.m. tonight, and they do different choreographic fire shows 7, 7:30, 8, and 8:30, and each fire show lasts about 15 minutes. So, the
Yeah.
Bahamian Food and Supply Donation Drive at
Yeah.
Vero Beach Outlets is 7 to 7 tonight.
That's a big deal.
That is a big deal.
Yeah.
Splish Splash Lagoon Bash is 8 to 5 tomorrow at the Environmental Learning Center at 255 Live Oak Drive, north of Vero Beach. The 80s Theme Skate for Veterans is 5 to 7 tomorrow at Skate Factory, which is at 485 27th Avenue in Southwest Vero.
Nice.
7th annual Hunt for Hope, Florida is 1 to 4 Sunday at Riverview Park. That's one of my favorite parks.
Hmm.
It's right on the river up in Sebastian. And hunters in the family friendly scavenger hunt are given a list of items to find, snap photos of, and some tasks to be performed. That probably means picking up garbage, which is okay too.
Yeah. It all has to be done.
No Tail Left Behind, Indian River County is noon to 4 Sunday at Walking Tree Brewery on Dodger Road in Vero. The event includes food trucks, pet booths, raffles, face painting, and a bounce house. So Pints for Paws is noon to 4 p.m. Sunday at Mash Monkey Brewing Company, which is in Sebastian.
Mhm.
And we got the poker stroll for the Vero Beach Lifeguard Association 9th annual is 5 to 9 Sunday, and it's set from Waldo's Restaurant and Bar. It's $10, and you get a poker hand and pull cards from Waldo's, Costa de Este Beach Resort and Spa, Mulligan's Beach House, Grind and Grape, and then back to Waldo's.
Nice.
Pay an extra $5 to get another card if needed. That means you can stack the deck, right?
Yes, I think so.
So there, we got some fun things going on in all 3 counties.
We do finally. Yes. So it's like you said
And
earlier.
next month we
Mhm.
have the craft show coming up in downtown.
Yeah.
We got Oktoberfest and Fun Fest things coming up next month. Next week I'll have the dates on all those. I
we
just don't
want to
have-
get to the Martin County Fairgrounds with Jay. We want to get
I
a hold
re-
of Jay.
I reached out to him a couple times,
Yes.
and I've talked to him, and he wasn't in good spirit.
Oh,
So maybe now he's in better spirits.
I would hope so. Yeah, we want to get Jay to come in because it bring us up to speed. There's just so much going on at the current fairgrounds location, and I know he's been pushing hard to get it their new digs all set up.
Right. And that's going to take a little while.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if the infrastructure, if they've taken it all the way out there with the water and electric yet to the new fairgrounds.
It's,
So,
it's
It's a work in progress.
Things move at the speed of government.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly. It's an hour up already. It's amazing.
It is. Well, we had a bumper crop of
We
stuff.
did. Yeah, we did. Thanks, Dominic and
Right.
Chris, for calling in.
Right.
Thanks, Rex and Margarita.
Kept
Thank
us hooked up, hook, line, and sinker.
Sticker, right.
Yes.
Yep. We'll have more fish tales with Mrs. Peters next week.
All right.
All
So
righty.
stick with us.
Thank you.
Ciao for now.